So the 2023-24 race calendar was officially announced the other day. And there have been plenty of thoughts on the internet about it. And I figured, as a brand new fan, I could add a bit of an unbiased and very, very new, very unexperienced take on what F1 is going to look like next season. So, from my understanding, these dates are like semi-final, to the point of like, it's probably pretty safe to be like, these are the weekends that these races are going to be taking place. So kind of looking at this year and looking at next year, we can kind of get an idea. But that said, 24 races sounds like a lot. I think it definitely is a lot. And looking at it in terms of race position compared to this year is going to be really interesting. But all in all, let's go ahead. Let's just take a look. Preseason testing starts February 23rd to the 25th. They're in Sakhir around Bahrain. I didn't realize that the F1 season really started that soon, because like the season ends in November and it's really only a couple of months off, which I am a-okay with. As a person who is a fan of sports that really are rotational, they're on 3 months, off 9 months, going around the other way, definitely an a-okay by me. So then obviously we open up in Sakhir around Bahrain on March 5th. Very okay with that. Super excited. I can only imagine. I'm looking forward to seeing how excited the internet is for that, really just off rip, just because I can only imagine how exciting the first race of, the season really is. Then you go 2 weeks later to Jeddah, March 19th. That feels pretty standard for me. Again, I have no point of reference past this year, so all this seems really relatively straightforward. I know that with the next one up, Australia, I remember this one used to be the first race of the season. Don't know if they plans to move that back or if they enjoy having Melbourne where it is. And then going to China, this will be my first time seeing China. Have zero knowledge or impressions on what China looks like, but I'm excited to see a new track back on the calendar, at least from my perspective. And then from China to Azerbaijan around Baku, it will be interesting to see Baku a little earlier up on the schedule, followed then immediately by Miami. Now, as a person who lives in the United States, I'm all for races in the US, but at the same time, I also understand the kind of strain that it puts on the F1 calendar. So, but I'm excited to see Miami come back. I'm interested to see if they make any changes to the circuits this time versus last time out. So I guess we'll see. I doubt it, but you never know. And then immediately after Miami, back to Italia for Imola, the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, followed immediately by Monaco the following week. Definitely going to be a lot of fun. Monaco renewed on the F1 calendar for another, until 2025, right? So another 3 years of Monaco on the books. It's pretty whatever to me. I know a lot of people have like a deep spiritual connection to Monaco, but from what I saw this year, it seems pretty okay. So I guess we'll hope for a more exciting weekend this coming year. And then following one semi-boring-ish race to another semi-boring-ish race, the Spain Grand Prix in Barcelona the following week. So I guess at least they're not going to make us wait any extra time to get to Barcelona. So again, that'll be what it'll be. And then Canada in June following that, and then back to Austria. I think this is going to be a theme, and I want to touch on this in a bit. But Canada immediately after Barcelona, there with 2 weeks or at least 1 week in between to get over there. And then the same to get back to Austria for the Red Bull Ring on July 2nd. Austria, I really enjoy Austria. I don't know if it's the most exciting race in the entire world, but I enjoyed the 2022 race there a lot. I think there was a lot of action. There was definitely a lot going on. And then you immediately follow that up the following week going to Silverstone. I think this stretch is going to be a lot of fun. Just Austria immediately into Silverstone. So I think I'm really looking forward to that. A couple of weeks, and then Hungary. They're in Budapest for the Hungarian Grand Prix, followed immediately by Spa before the summer break. So instead of exiting the summer break with Spa, we actually will be ending the first stint with Spa there on the end of July. It's going to be very fun. I enjoyed Spa. I think Spa has become one of my favorite tracks as a casual fan, both in the game from watching on TV and in games and things. I've enjoyed Spa a lot. I think that's a circuit and track that I played a lot across many games, and I've really come to enjoy it. So coming out of the spring or the summer break, we head back to Zandvoort for the Netherlands Grand Prix. Hit or miss, take it or leave it for me. And then immediately followed up again by Monza the following week. Definitely looking forward to that. It's going to be a lot of fun, I'm sure. And then immediately from Italy to Singapore, about a week and a bit in between. I think that's a lot better than these weird, 4 weeks, it feels like, until Singapore. And once Singapore is over, to Suzuka in Japan And then almost my birthday, we head to Qatar. I'm not sure what this circuit really is, so I haven't seen really anything on it. So looking forward to, once again, seeing a new track for me. And then from Qatar back to North America for the US Grand Prix in Austin. I will be attending that this year, so I'm looking forward to that. Then down to Mexico City for the Mexican Grand Prix, down to Interlagos, Sao Paulo for the Brazilian Grand Prix, back to Vegas. This I think this is the hot takes zone of this F1 calendar. So back to Vegas for the second to last race on the calendar, and finishing up in Abu Dhabi around Yas Marina. So all in all, it's a lot of races taking place over the entire year. It definitely, when you look at it this way, testing starts in February and the season ends in the end of November. We will see, but I think I'm excited to see another year. I think one thing that a lot of people online are talking about and kind of really worried about the most is this idea that the FIA and Formula One has promised to be carbon neutral by 2030, and this kind of calendar and layout definitely doesn't seem to be moving towards that very well. It's definitely something that is turning a lot of heads, and it's really, really making a lot of people very confused. The only idea I can think of is that a lot of these circuits might have some sort of contractual obligations on when they might need to take place. There also are some that really need to be where they are in terms of just scheduling for weather purposes. Because I know a lot of people are looking at this trip to Canada in June, when there is Miami in May, and this North American stint here at the end of the calendar. But at the same time, the weather in Canada, I think you definitely have your best chances in June. And so I think Canada being where it is kind of purposeful. Miami in May is kind of the antithesis of that. I think Miami is one of those places that you can definitely get good weather pretty much almost year round. And so realistically, having it in May versus having it in June or even at the end of the season wouldn't make too much of a difference. I think I'm wondering if Miami is some sort of contractual obligation to have them towards the beginning of the year. I'm not sure, because having them, Azerbaijan to Miami back to Italy just seems like a bit of a headache in terms of turnaround, because you're looking at a 1 week turnaround between Azerbaijan and Miami, and then you have a couple of weeks to get back to Italy, but that's a lot to coordinate, and it's going to be pretty big pain to say the least. And then you have a lot of your bulk European circuits in here, in Austria, UK, Hungary, Belgium, the Netherlands, Italy, before you head towards your excuse me your Asian countries with Singapore and Japan, and then back towards Qatar. And I think honestly it's just this last stint that really doesn't make a lot of sense for people, where you go back to Austin for the United States Grand Prix, down to Mexico City, which is not really even that close, for the 1 week turnaround, and then down to Brazil, and then back to the US again for Vegas, and then you finish the next weekend in Abu Dhabi and Yas Marina. So I think it'll be interesting to see if they continue to have this many races on the calendar, but I think it's this last grouping of 6 races that really just doesn't seem to, or 5 races that doesn't seem to sit well with people the most. And I definitely understand. I was also very confused when, you're going, Austin, Mexico City, Brazil, you're kind of just working your way down the North and South America, but then you're back to Vegas, and then you're all the way across the world to Abu Dhabi. So it'll be interesting to see how the season goes. I think it's going to be a logistics nightmare, and I do not envy anyone trying to plan this out for each individual team. But nonetheless, we have a calendar. I would love to know your thoughts. You can put them down in the comment section below over on YouTube. And now we want to talk about which race next season could Dakota potentially attend. Like I mentioned, we're actually doing the US Grand Prix here in October, here in just a few short weeks for us. So I'm going to be heading to the Circuit of the Americas to see my first Formula One race in person. And I would not be telling the truth that this Vegas race did not intrigue me to the ends of the earth. We are looking at this as a potential fun vacation time next year, and may end up trying to make this happen, because it is also going to be the 4th ever Saturday Grand Prix in F1 history. And so I think just in terms of intrigue and just fun storylines, I think this would be a hard one to miss if you can make it work. And we're looking into it, and we'll see what happens. But I would love to know your thoughts on the 2023 Formula One calendar. How do you feel about it? How do you feel about this in terms of, the FIA's and Formula One's, pledge to be carbon neutral by 2030. I think they even had something in there about being something else by 2025. So this definitely seems to go against that a little bit. But as a fan of racing, I think more racing is never a bad thing. I do feel for the teams who have to try and make all of this work. But, Formula One's a multi-billion-dollar industry. And if anyone can figure it out, it's going to be them. But I'm excited to get this next season going. We are hurtling towards the end of another season here in Formula One. I say another season. It's my first season with the new regulations and everything going on. And so I'm already excited at the idea of another season on the belt. But let me know what you think down below. And as always, subscribe for more Formula One content, both gaming and hopefully some news and experiences going forward. But until then, I'll see you in the next one.